During my wasted years of reading manga, many have made me cry, like a big ass baby. But few have left me with a lasting impression, like Inio Asano's Solanin did. As a 6'2", recluse, chubby guy, I'm not ashamed of my willingness to bawl my eyes out at any sign of romance, or anything soppy whatsoever. However, Solanin does something really different for me that others have never done. As far as mangaka go, Inio Asano is one you should know even with a vague interest in manga. All it takes is a quick search of the top manga in your favourite weeb tracker, and you'll find Oyasumi Punpun somewhere in the top 10. While Punpun is an absolute masterpiece, along with other works in Asano's catalogue.
Yo, daddy, nigga, turn your speakers down, pussy nigga. Y'all stop complaining like some hoes.
I ain't here for that shit. I'm here for Solanin and why you should be reading it. Solanin is the story of a group of college degenerates. I'm sure you can at least relate to the degenerate part, you fucking weebs. Centering around the relationship between Meiko Inoue and Naruto Taneda. And why? I can't pronounce Japanese shit, leave me alone. Meiko being your standard, life-hating, wage-slaving, Japanese office worker, kissing ass and drifting through life. While Taneda is a little bit more like me. A waste of space, part-timer, romantic who's dreaming of changing the world with his music. It follows how they walk the very fine line between adulthood and college students, or the lack thereof. I'll be as vague as I can and try not to spoil anything, but if you're really worried about that, just fucking go read the book, man. I don't know, what do you want me to do about it? Now, personally, my favourite part of this manga, which is also where Asano really shines as an author, is the characters. What makes them so special is how completely not special they are. They're human, they're normal, they're just regular people, just like everyone else, which makes them so insanely relatable, especially for me, a lazy musician, university student who doesn't want to get a fucking job. Taneda is such an easy place for me to relate. Watching him move from being a pushover who doesn't commit to anything and absolutely shits the bed once Meiko quits her job, then having to take responsibility for his actions, seeing him become the character he is by the end of the story feels incredibly rewarding and painfully heart-wrenching. Meiko, our protagonist, is the most interesting character by far, my personal biases aside. A person who absolutely half-asses everything, whether it's the club she joined where she even met Taneda, or her life aspirations once she quits her job. Seeing her lazy ass forcibly moved into motion, taking life and the things she does seriously, feels so good to see. It's an incredible read for that. But it doesn't stop there. The main couple aren't the only characters that have something worthwhile to add to the story. The rest of the group, and even random losers mentioned in passing, are constantly growing throughout the story, all showing how people in this generation are dealing with growing older. It's hard to really cover how great the feeling is of seeing the cast grow following the events of the story, without going into spoilers. I want you to experience that yourself clearly, without me doing anything to ruin that. So please just go read the book and don't let this video ruin anything, or shout at me in the comments. Throughout Asano's manga, the art is just phenomenal. Like, good. The detail and effort that go into it are just absolutely insane. Two things that jump out. Whoa! Fuck! That's some fucking good art. Two things jump out to me when I think of their art. The first of which being the depiction of emotions and expression. When I see a panel with a character's face close up, purely from the art, I can begin to feel how this character feels in that moment. And I haven't felt shit since like 2015. Within Solanin, 2-page spreads are used to show the evolution of an expression. These moments are a real highlight when I'm reading this manga. Seeing an expression just go from trying to hide crying and just breaking down panel by panel. It just tears my fucking heart out, and it's just incredible. The second point I'd like to highlight is the backgrounds and the full-page spreads. The system used for these is way too complex for me and my tiny brain to even begin to break down, never mind explain this video. But when you see the breathtaking moments that are captured, it's clearly worth all the effort that's put in. Its main use is to really contrast the feeling of drowning in the city with all the stinky people, to the open, airy suburban areas around the river where it's just you and your personal gamer stench. If Asano's creative process is something that's got you really interested, then there's an amazing series on YouTube called Manban, where legendary author Urasawa Naoki interviews other authors on their creative processes via footage filmed from their studios, and it gives a really interesting insight into how they get their work done. all of the episodes are definitely worth watching, but my personal favourite is of horror legend Junji Ito. But if the art or process is something that's piqued your interest, I'll put a link in the description to both the episode and the full series. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I have a huge bias towards anime and manga revolving around music or musicians. I just feel some weird attachment to these stories that really pulls at my lame, romantic, music-loving heart. So know that I say this with all bias, that I absolutely love the story here in Asano's work. There isn't a lot I can divulge with this story without ruining the experience. So just think that if you are between the ages of like 17 and 30 to 40 probably, you can relate to something with these dumbass characters and what the story has to offer. The way they feel, act, and react to their situations feels so real, I forget I'm reading something of fiction half the time. In the afterword of the manga, Asano writes something I'd like to point out here. There's nothing cool about these characters. They're just your average 20-somethings who blend into the backdrop of the city. But the most important messages in our lives don't come from musicians on stage or stars on television. They come from the average people all around you, the ones who are just feet from where you stand. That's what I believe. And I think hearing those lines from an artist whose characters feel so human and relatable makes so much sense, especially for a normal-ass dude like myself. Now look, if you've gotten this far in a video about some random dude talking about some manga that made him cry, you're clearly interested. So go pick up the volumes, read them, decide for yourself. I'll try and find some and link them in the description. But don't just take my word for it, really do go and read them and experience it, and then come back to me. And then tell me I'm a fucking idiot and I shouldn't have a YouTube account. Peace.